Hey everyone, welcome. Today we'll be taking a look at the RGBW LED par made by Eyourlife with DMX capabilities or standalone operation. So let's get started. So initial first thoughts about this light are, obviously since it's China, it's made a little bit cheaper, a lot. The whole body is plastic, except for the stand, which you are able to completely take off if you'd like, or you can have it set down on a floor at a wedding or something doing some uplighting. I do not like how this power cable is in here all the time, and if you set it down it can bend the cable, which obviously is bad. In the future I may end up replacing it with a IEC cable. Very easy, as I will take this apart later in the video and we can see how much space there is inside the fixture itself. For brightness wise, these have, let's see, I think it has 18 green, 18 blue, 6 completely white LEDs, and then 12 red LEDs. So this light, surprisingly for a Chinese light, is extremely bright. I'd say it matches to some of the, close to some of the professional grade lighting like Strobe, American DJ, such DJ lights basically also. If you're watching this video because you've seen these lights on the internet and are seeing if they're good enough, whether you should buy them or not, honestly I would say they're probably a good start to get into lighting. You can get a lot of them for a good price, and they're well made. They're well made. If you drop them, they haven't broken yet. I've dropped them a couple times. They're still standing. But if you're looking to get in to lighting, this is a good start. You can get a lot of them for a good price, and they're made so, not made cheaply, but price wise they're so cheap that if one breaks you can throw it out and get another one without having to spend $400 on a American. The reason I bought these instead of paying $2,000 for 16 or whatever of like Chauvet or American DJ American brand name lights is because these lights are pretty bright with all the other professional lighting. Obviously it's not the highest quality light, not professional grade, you're like a giant music festival, obviously, but for DJs, weddings, or small bands, you know, these are really good. Like I said, the brightness is very nice, and as I said, I do not like this cable. It does have DMX 512 in it, and each of these are 8 channels, and you have, I guess the light's upside down, I'm not used to that. You have your 4 buttons with the screen over here. I have this gaff tape because I actually put my phone number and company name on here. And don't want anyone calling me. But in case this gets lost somehow, then they can reach me. But the easy thing also about these little Chinese lights is that most of the stuff you can buy at your local electronics store. So if I have a fan go out on one of these, I can go to the electronics store, get a little fan. I can get like 5 of them for $5, real cheap, and throw it on in here, making sure the polarities are right, because I've had some people flip the polarities around by accident on these, and the fan completely just go up in flames. That's a little over exaggerating, but smoking a lot. They do have a standalone option and a master slave mode from IP, with IP 1 through 64. They're kind of cool. You can do different effects with them. If you put 4 of them together, you can do a chase effect of the different standalone modes. The fan in these is pretty loud, but if you're buying these for a band or DJing, no need to worry about that. They're not so loud to where you're just hearing them throughout the whole show that you're doing. You're definitely going to be blasting the sound out. But if you are doing these for theatrical, they are good for theatrical. If you're wanting to replace the fan, very simple to replace the fan with a quieter one. You can get, like I said, 5 of them for like $5 at the electronics store and replace them to where they're nearly perfectly silent, because a lot of times in a play there's silence and you don't want to hear all your 16 or 32 of these just whirring away. But overall it's a pretty good light. So now that I've said a little bit, later we're going to bring up DMX and I'll show you a little bit of how it works in standalone modes and how the display all works. but let's dig a little deeper into it. Alright, so I got those apart. You also can undo this power cable if you're also wanting to. There we go. Basically just the front section that comes off. See, let's flip this around. There we go. Got the screws come out. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Thought the fourth one came out. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we got the light opened up. As you can see, here's the wires just going to the lights, the LEDs themselves. There's the board, and here's the fan. Like I said, if you're replacing the fan, it's very simple. It's just these 4 screws, and I think, yeah, and right here is where the plug-in is. So you can easily replace that. It's very simple to replace. Overall, the whole unit keeps pretty cool. This fan doesn't do too bad of a job. Keeps everything air flowing. It's not too bad. Again, if you were wanting to replace it, you can get fans for like $5 for a couple of them actually, and they can be completely silent. Super easy to take apart. Just these 4 screws, and super easy to replace this fan. Just make sure you get your polarities right and everything. Alright, so taking a look at the functions of the standalone options, I have this being the master and this being the slave, with this being in IP01, meaning this is the first unit in the slave. So everything that this is doing will be repeated by this. That's why I have it set up, so you can see what this light will be doing while it's upside down. So starting off, if we bring up the display A101, number 1 is RGBW, red, green, blue, white. If we press up, 2, and so forth are the individual different colors, red, green, blue, and then it starts to color mix. So you get like a yellow, a cyan, magenta, and then you also have the normal straight 6 white, and so on and so forth. As you get further down the list, like into the 10, 11, then you get the colors plus the white, which gives you a really cool mix of colors, different combinations. I like to use these when I'm doing shows sometimes, just to give different colors. It adds a kind of white ring glow around each of the colors that you're making, and kind of lightens it up. Just kind of cool feature. I do like that you can go through the separate colors, and it gives you the option of either having the cyan with the white or just the cyan colors. So there's 18 different color functions, RGB, and then back to 1 is RGBW. So moving on to, by pressing menu, moving to A2 is a second function. While this is flashing, that means that you are changing the speed. By pressing up and down, you can slow the speed of the rate of the function, or you can speed it up. This looks like it's just going through the colors, the red, green, blue, color mixing, then it adds the white, just like the other ones. And then the next one will go on to A3, if we by pressing menu, more of gradient. Now you can see it's not flashing. Once you press enter, it flashes and shows the speed rate value that you have it at. I have it at 32, which is the max speed for this function. Just going through RGBW gradient, pressing enter again will take you out of that, and I think under this function we have like a subcategory. Yeah, so you can do just flashing of red, green, just going through the colors all again, but having this different function. Red, blue, red, white, red, blue, or I mean, excuse me, green, blue, and so on and so forth. Just different functions in that, all with the intensity. This is an intensity function with the colors. So moving on to A4, so I think is sound active. I think you're able to change the sensitivity, or what it starts on, I believe. Yeah, so if we start on 4, it starts like that. 3 is like that. 2 starts on that. I don't really know why, but alright, that's cool. But yeah, so moving on, A5 is a strobe, red, green, blue, going through those same colors we did in A1, just it has the strobe function. So by pressing enter, then you can adjust the speed of the strobe, how fast you want it to go through. Now, I believe, yeah, so if you go up, we're in A5 in subcategory 2, which is another function in that menu of A5. So now we're just doing strobe of red. And again, you can press enter and change the speed of the strobe if you want faster or slower. And just like we were in A1 going up and down, you can change the different colors of the strobe. Now moving on to A6, this is a gradient. You can't change anything, it's kind of a set gradient speed, just going through the colors, no sound active, nothing. And by the way, on the sound active, since this is the master, if I tap this, it'll change all the other lights that you have slaved into it. If I tap this light, it won't change anything else. It's the master that's controlling everything. So moving on to A7, yes. This is a different type of color and intensity function. As you can see on 9, we're on 9 right now. It's going red and green. If we change that to 8, I guess that's just white. It's the same color functions as the others, but you're putting an intensity to them. See, this is more of, A7 is more of a flash instead of a strobe, a real quick strobe. You can change the speed by pressing enter, and you can change it a little bit. So if we start all the way back at 1, starts with red, green, blue, going through the colors again. 2, like the others, is the red. You can go through these colors again, keep going up. Then it starts getting different. Kind of cool. I kind of like it. Gives you some different functions that you can add more lights to. And I think if you do this and set this to IP1 and the next one to IP2 and so forth, I think it does a color chase with blue and green with it. So I think it's actually meant also for more lights being added to it, which is very surprising for a Chinese light like this. I'm actually quite impressed by that. So if we continue on to, so there's red, green, blue, and white values, which we can zero out. You can change the values for each of these. So this is red, I'm taking out the red, or the 255 is full, 100%. 0 obviously is completely out. This gives you, especially for weddings, if you're wanting to get the exact color that the colors are for the wedding, and that's how the couple wants you to have everything. You can really match the colors as close as you can if you're really good at color mixing. And then it's nice that it gives you the value over here, because then you can go on to other lights without having to just visually see and try and match colors. You can just enter 243 red and green 33, blue 27. Now this U stands for W, which is white. And just like the others, that's these 6, you can change the intensity of the white all the way up to 255, which is 100%. 2, 3, 4, 5. And 0, which is completely out. Now onto the DMX, the light is turned off because now you're entering DMX mode. You usually never use master slave mode in DMX just because you're giving each one a different address, and usually you're more complex into the system and you're able to control things individually. If you don't know DMX that well, but if you do this as a review, I like to tell people who don't understand DMX as well yet that D stands for DMX, 001 is this address name. Like, there's people named John or Kim, you know, that's their individual name. Well, 001 is this individual name. It's this personality. And like I said, this is 8 channels for each of these lights. You can't change it to 4, 2, or 10. It's just standard 8. And then the IP, which is the slave mode. So you would not set your master to the IP because your master will be on the other functions. You'll set all your slave lights like this one to IP01. This one is IP01 if you added another and you wanted it to do like the chase effect, you would do IP01 and IP02 for the second one. and then you're back at your screen functions. And what's nice about these that they've done is that the screen goes out, but this red light stays on, telling you that you have power. On the slave ones, when they're getting signal from the out DMX, they will blink. I think it also does that with DMX, but we will see. I believe it does. We'll see a little bit later. Excuse me. Stumbling upon my words. Okay, so we now have it hooked up to DMX. I have CamSys open with the generic console, just so you can see visually what the faders are doing if you're not familiar with DMX or any type of DMX software. This is basically like having a Obey 7D by Strobe in front of you. Same idea. So it is 8 channels, so we have dimmer 1 through 8 right here. The first channel are different functions, so let's see. The first function, if you move it up just a little bit, then you go to dimmer 2. Dimmer 2 controls the different colors. There we go. It controls the different colors just like we showed you in standalone mode. There's red, green, blue, and if I can steadily move this up. And then, like we showed before, color mixing, then adds the white, and so on and so forth. So then if we move up a little bit more on dimmer 1, just a wee bit, where is it? There we go. See, I think. Then it goes to a different function, just like in the standalone mode. And dimmer 3 over here, channel 3, controls the speed. So this is just jumping through colors. Now I can move this up and we can change the speed all the way up to that fast or slow. So that's just changing the speed of that. It's going through the colors. Now if we move up even further on channel 1, now we have that gradient, I think, yeah. We have the gradient, which on channel 3, fader 3, we can change our speed. And this looks like about how fast it can go. 255, which is the max. Going on to channel 2, we can then start, just like the other functions in our standalone mode, we can go between the different colors, just flashing them. And continuing going up, going between 2 colors. Just like you can do all the functions that we did in the standalone mode. I think there's one more function on dimmer 1, fader 1. I think. I think this is strobe. Yes, strobe. Channel 3 controls the strobe. Just like the functions in standalone, you're going through the colors as you can see here. I don't know how well the camera can see the colors, but just like the functions before, you can go red or move up to the color mixing, just like all the other functions. And that's all the way to 255. So there is a bit of gap between each of the functions, so it's not like if you move it a millimeter, they'll change functions on you. If you're wanting to DMX manually color mix with DMX, dimmer 4, channel 4 is the master dimmer. So if you turn dimmer 4 up, you can then do red with dimmer 5, or channel 5, fader 5, green with 6, blue with 7, and white with 8. So let's put 5, 6, and 8 up. Let's do that. Dimmer 4 is the master dimmer for those. So I can turn this down, quickly change my colors, and bring it back up, and it'll be different. Not my favorite thing about these Chinese fixtures where it has master dimmer, but you can get creative with it. But just because I don't manually use faders like a DJ would on their Obey 7D or something like that, since I use CamSys and do shows with profiles already with DMX put in there and everything, I just don't use it as often, so I'm not as fond of it. But if you find ways that it works well for you and you can do a lot of things with it, more power to you. Now I am surprised a little bit about one thing. These lights actually came with a little bit of a manual. This includes directions on how to work on, or operate, better to say, on the screen, and tell you how to operate it. And it also gives you a list of channels of what each of them do. So 1, 2, all the way through 8 over here. And it tells you all the 8 channels, and then your light source, your voltage, how it's made out of. So surprisingly, compared to other Chinese lights, they actually give you a little bit of a direction guide of how to operate the light, so there's less confusion. So I'm very actually surprised about that they actually did something like this. Now, one thing I did want to note before I end this video is that if you're doing anything with especially uplighting, and you're having master slave or DMX going to any of them, and you have the DMX cable going into the light, in or out, the only thing I hate about these is that the DMX cable, if you turn this, you can't fully get the light straight up and down without it hitting this. Now there are ways around this that you can get the light to go up and down, but I just find that a little bit irritating. Everything about the light is great, but this is one thing I find very defective about this. I won't be having a problem with this because I will be making a little tiny stand that'll hold the light like this, so that I have a lot of other ways I can mount the light. So I just won't be having that problem. But if you are going to be having the light doing uplighting and you need it straight up and down, just keep in mind that this can be an issue. There are ways to get around it though, just like I'll be doing that wood stand, but there are other ways you can get around that. I just wanted to note that in case anybody were to buy these lights and find out that they just can't bend the light down anymore like this and get it going straight up and down. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching. This is going to wrap up our video for today. My final thoughts about these lights are that I really think they're a good light for the price. You get good amounts of light. Yes, they are plastic, but you can get around that. Just be careful with them, you know. Treat your stuff with lots of respect. The really good lights, in my opinion, for the price, like I said, and for them being Chinese. There's one actually behind me going up the wall, so they don't look too bad going doing some uplighting. In my opinion, I like these lights because I don't have to spend a fortune, and I can make them look and do the same job as I were doing with name brand lighting. If I did uplighting at a wedding, I can make these look the same as if I use Strobe, American DJ, all the big name companies. I can make them look and do the same amount of work, and the client, they don't really care what the product is that makes it look that way. They just care about how it looks and how you can make the environment and atmosphere exciting. So that's going to wrap everything up for today. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll try to answer them as fast as I can. I will leave the link to where you can buy these down in the description as well. And like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, whatever you have, leave in the comments section. Subscribe to my channel and give this this show, excuse me, a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.